Just days after one of the most dangerous military confrontations in recent history, the United States and Iran have announced a major breakthrough. President Donald Trump says a new agreement could officially end the fighting, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. But while diplomats celebrate, military forces across the Middle East remain on high alert. Here's everything that happened this week. For months, the Middle East stood on the edge of a much larger regional war. American forces launched major operations against Iranian military targets while Iran responded with missile attacks, drone strikes, and the temporary disruption of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Now everything appears to be changing. At the G7 summit, President Donald Trump announced that the United States and Iran had agreed on a new 14-point memorandum designed to stop the fighting and begin a 60-day negotiation process toward a permanent agreement. According to officials, the proposed agreement includes an immediate halt to military operations, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz for commercial shipping, sanctions relief for Iran under specific conditions, international monitoring of Iran's nuclear activities through the IAEA, and negotiations toward a long-term peace agreement. If fully implemented, it would mark one of the biggest diplomatic breakthroughs in the Middle East in years. But despite the announcement, the military buildup hasn't disappeared. American naval forces remain deployed throughout the Persian Gulf while surveillance aircraft continue flying routine missions across the region. Military planners are treating the agreement as extremely fragile, knowing that a single violation could quickly restart hostilities. President Trump also warned that if Iran fails to honor the agreement, military operations could resume immediately. Iran, meanwhile, continues insisting that its nuclear program remains peaceful, while emphasizing that sanctions must eventually be lifted before any permanent settlement is reached. The biggest concern remains the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly one-fifth of the world's seaborne oil passes through this narrow waterway. During the recent conflict, commercial shipping was heavily disrupted, causing global energy markets to react almost instantly. Although shipping has now resumed, military analysts warn that the waterway remains one of the world's most sensitive strategic choke points. While attention focused on the Middle East, the war in Ukraine continued to escalate. Russia launched another wave of missile and drone attacks across multiple Ukrainian cities, while Ukraine answered with long-range strikes targeting Russian military infrastructure hundreds of kilometers from the front line. At the same G7 summit, Western leaders pledged additional military support for Ukraine while announcing plans to increase pressure on Russia through new sanctions and expanded defense cooperation. That means two of the world's biggest military flashpoints remain active at exactly the same time. For now, the guns between Washington and Tehran have largely fallen silent, but thousands of American troops remain deployed across the region. Warships continue patrolling strategic waterways, fighter aircraft remain on standby, and intelligence agencies are closely monitoring every move made by both sides. History has shown that peace agreements can collapse just as quickly as they're signed. The next 60 days may determine whether this becomes the beginning of lasting peace, or simply a pause before another military confrontation. If you want weekly military updates covering the biggest global conflicts, make sure to subscribe because we'll continue tracking every major development as it happens.